Yo, I fucking love SpongeBob. How boomers destroy Gen Z's future.
We were told to go to school.
Oh, okay, let's watch this shit, chat. Let me actually get myself some ice. Wow, that shit sounds crazy. It's like you can't even say the word ice nowadays without like motherfuckers being like being on some like what do you mean by that? No, like actual I need to cool my drink. I need some seltzer water right now. I need some shit. You said boring. Well, guess what? Joshy Washy, you're gonna watch it with us right now. You're gonna watch it with us right freaking now. Let me get some ice.
My head spinning while in every beat.
Yeah. Hold up.
These niggas my son dead beat. Hell yeah. It be where I need a jet ski. Hell yeah. I'm so high, I don't need you to catch me. Hell yeah. Bitch, I'm fine, I'm moving jet speed. Hell yeah. Better my son. They wouldn't be nothing without me. Hell yeah. Back to the place. It's a technical find I need a read. Hell yeah. Say you wanna get high. You know I got the best tree. Hell yeah. Hell no. Ask me, can we shop until we drop and I'm like, hell yeah. But I said, babe, you give me this cup first. She like, hell yeah. Bitch, I'm back. I'm at a back. No, you ain't confused. I'm a scale. You better know how to act. Better just say that. I got many hoes like a fan. Bitch, I know how to hit when I get in there. What be doing that pussy like a fool? I hit a bitch that's bad and know how to act. Little bitch, you ain't no standards. You ain't no status. I pass you on the daily. My life look like Ellen. I know I'm done on a baby. I do it right with a three. They wanna vibe with me. She don't know what I'm saying. Bitch, she can't match my geek. She wanna get in the coupe. She tryna match my speed. I'm tryna get in her too. I told her to match my freak. I told her to match my mind. I told her to match my lean. I told her to match my fuck. Now she sippin' lean with me. My head spinning while in every beat. Hell yeah. It be where I need a jet ski. Hell yeah. I'm so high, I don't need you to catch me. Hell yeah. Bitch, I'm fine, I'm moving jet speed. Hell yeah. Better my son. They wouldn't be nothing without me. Hell yeah. Back to the place. It's a technical find I need a read. Hell yeah. Say I wanna get high. You know I got the most trees. She asked me, do I want it tough? And I'm like, hell yeah. Ask me if I want it, hell yeah. Ask me, can we shop until we drop? And I'm like, hell yeah. Bitch, I'm a back. I'm at a back. Don't get it confused. I'm a tell you. Bitch, I know how to hit when I get in there. What be doing that pussy like a fool?
I need every beat you ever made in existence.
Days within, bitch.
Oh my god, bro. My cat Grim, bro. This motherfucker is a character. This cat is a character, bro. My sisters are still in Japan, and every day I try to see if I can spend like 30 minutes with bro. He wants me to be with him all day. You said bring him back on screen. The issue with him is he mad timid. It's like every time I try to pick him up, he be like, nah, I don't want to get picked up. And I'm like, you motherfucker. You want me to give you attention though, but you don't want me to pick you up. Do you want attention or not? And then he's like, oh, no. He wants me to sit with him in the living room and watch TV. He's like, your sisters are in Japan? Yeah, they went to Japan. Look, they've been planning that trip for a year since the beginning of 2025, like late 2024. I remember when my sisters were talking to me about it. They're like, yo, we want to go to Japan in the beginning of 2026. Give him a cat cam and let him come in and chill. Bro, he's mad. He be spazzing. He's timid nature, bro. He sees anything that's out of the ordinary, he's like, oh, I'm like, dude.
Get a job. Buy a
You said, why didn't you go? I know, I could have gone. I could have gone, but I was like working, and then I was kind of like, eh. And then also the thing is like my sisters went with like a friend, so it was kind of like a girls trip. So at the same time, I was kind of like, eh, you guys have fun. This is y'all first experience. If y'all enjoy the experience, next time I could go with them. You so introverted? Hell yeah. Plus I was working, but my sisters so far they've been telling me like they're enjoying it. They sent me pictures of them like, yo, they had the whole kimono, yo, mad cute. Like I was like, bro, y'all got the kimono fits. Like when they sent me pictures of them, it reminded me of like, remember like the whole Persona 4 scene where like Yukari, not Yukari. What was it, Yukari? No, I'm talking about Persona 4, excuse me. Persona 4, when they all had the fucking shit on, I was like, what's the Persona 4 they had? You said Midkiko? Oh my god. Yukiko. Did they secure a wife for you yet? And that's funny, bro. In Japan? This motherfucking cat, bro. I was like, I'm about to be like, let me try to bring him here. And I'm like, nah, fuck that shit, bro. Like I ain't doing all that extra shit. If he doesn't want to get picked up, I'm not gonna force pick him up.
Then retire, and this is what was promised to us as long as we just worked hard. But now, getting degrees feel like we're being robbed.
That's why I fuck with Jeff. Yo, and that cat is still alive, and I am not looking forward to the day Jeff dies, bro. And look, Jeff in human years is 17 years old. I searched it up how old 17 years old in cat years is. Bro is technically in cat years 88 years old. This fucking cat, bro, I've had that cat since like high school. I feel like even junior high school, bro. That cat, bro, that cat's been in our family so long, and every time I see him, yo, the way he be petting me, like he like forces his head onto my hand, like, And I still give Jeff pets, and I be like, hey, Jeff. I be looking into his eyes, and it's like, you know, when you start getting older, I be looking into Jeff's eyes, and I start seeing like patches of his eyes looking like, damn, bro. I'm like, Jeff, you old, bro. And I'm just like sometimes I'll be like, bro, I wish you wouldn't pass away, because my mom loves Jeff like crazy, but man, that's an old cat, and I'm surprised that he's even around this long, bro. You said because he old, bro, he just want to chill. You said cats on average live 12 years? Bro, that cat is going 17. I think this year he's going to reach 18. Because I think his birthday is like, you know, I think his birthday is like sometime, what was it, around March? Or was it like summertime? But bro, he an old cat. One of my dogs passed last year too, 17 years old. Damn. So he started taking his prescription the vet wanted him to have. Love your pets? Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, especially the ones that have been with you through like a lot of shit, bro. Man, let me see.
Jobs are almost impossible to get, housing prices are the most expensive they've ever been, and half of Gen Z is financing groceries because we can't afford anything without debt. Back in the 70s and 80s, for boomers, the US economy was growing rapidly. A high school diploma could get you a job, a single income could cover a mortgage, and if you stayed loyal to a company, you would often get a pension and health care for life. The deal was simple. Give your 20s and your 30s to the company, and in return, when you were older, the system would catch you, and it worked. Boomers now control more than 50% of wealth in the US, while making up less than 20% of the population. And everyone grew up being told to follow the same formula, but as we got older, we realized that things didn't work like they used to because they broke it. Boomers entered a job market where a diploma wasn't mandatory and office jobs weren't being offloaded to AI. Today, Gen Z is walking into an economy where half of new graduates end up underemployed or working in fields that have nothing to do with their degree. Even teenagers are struggling to find summer jobs, which give them the
Nah, bro, that's why I tell anybody who's going to college, you have to make sure you study something that's of use. You know what I'm saying? You have to make sure you study something that's usable. Sometimes there's people out here that be like, let me go to college and spend a bunch of money, and then they get liberal arts. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You want to, like, not trying to like knock anybody who did that shit, but I'd be like, bro, no, don't go for liberal arts, bro. Or like, for example, art degree. Oh my God, bro. My thing is this, bro. If you got your art degree, cool, but it's like you gotta
And if I look, if you're good at art, I feel like you can make bread on the internet. You just gotta find the right revenue and lane. It's like, for example, if you're good at art and you like to draw furries, you can make bank on Twitter. You just gotta put some good shit, open commissions, and if your art is good enough, you could actually make good revenue, especially if you're consistent with your art and you enjoy your craft. There's a market for everything. There's a market for everything on Twitter. You say, are you calling my communications degree mid? No. No, what I'm saying is that you got to make sure that you study the right shit, because there's some degrees that high key are useless. Like, you could have it and say, yo, I got a bachelor's in this. And then anywhere you go, they'd be like, bro, you can't do shit with this degree. Drug dealing degree? That's crazy, bro. I regret going computer science, but I'm too deep into Switch. I mean, computer science is still, good in a sense. But the thing is, too, is I feel like from what I heard that the computer science department is very oversaturated and it's very competitive now, because there's a lot of people getting like computer science stuff right now. But I mean, at this point, the only thing you can do is since you're so deep in, is try to complete it, get that degree, and definitely try to do things like try to get certifications that'll make you stand out from other people with that degree, because you got to constantly keep on building on that degree. Because some people would just be like, yo, I got this degree, and I'm like, no, bro, I have this degree. I also have these certifications in this, that, the third, stuff that can like make your resume even look better. And then it's just like, you just got to keep grinding, bro.
Experience they're supposed to have.
CS is very oversaturated.
Not to mention the fact that now
AI
college
constantly
graduates
updating, bro.
on average leave school with $40,000 in federal student loans. But things get worse, because even with this overpriced degree, chances are you still can't get hired with it. Recently, a survey found that 90% of employers will not hire new graduates, citing they would rather fill the positions with freelancers, retired former employees, AI, or leave the position unfilled. And the graduates who do get hired, well, 78% of them get let go within a year. Now, to be fair, boomers have dealt with their fair share of issues too. There were oil shocks in the 70s, double-digit interest rates.
I ain't gonna lie, chat, I would never want to go to some shit like
dealt
that.
with their fair share of issues too. There were
I feel like this is one of the scariest shits. Like, that shit creeps me the fuck out. It's just a giant shit in the ocean. What is this? Chad, what the fuck is this? I've seen them in like those video games. This shit's scary as
oil
fuck.
shocks in the 70s, double-digit.
You said scary till that paycheck hits your account? Yeah, that shit probably crazy. They probably pay guap. What the fuck? I got mad people pinging me right now. Hold on. You said, what kind of mod is this? Oh, hold on. I'm about to reply to him later. I look at some GTA shit. $50 per hour? But I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like the ocean definitely gives me the heebie-jeebies sometimes.
Interest rates, recessions in the early 80s, but the difference is they weren't competing for jobs against AI, let alone the fact that now many positions are being outsourced to remote work in foreign countries for pennies on the dollar instead of hiring Americans. To make matters worse, now for people trying to get a job, it's normal to send hundreds or thousands of applications. And chances are you'll probably get ghosted because the job listing was fake, the position was...
This is why the job that I'm currently about to quit soon, I gave him such an early notice, and I'm leaving in good terms. Because then once I get my shit, and then if I try job hunting and shit's not looking too clear, you know what I'm saying? I will instantly hit that employer up again, and I'll be like, hey, how's it going, man? I finished up with my certification. Thank you for the opportunity you gave me last time. If you have any open positions, please let me know. I would love to work for you again. Bam. And mind you, I'm like cool with the boss that's there. I'm cool with the head boss. That's why I'm like, once I'm done with my shit, I could try to see if I could get back in that environment. If like, I'm trying to look for other shit. And you got to keep them shits open, bro.
Was never intended to be filled.
A lot of the time
or your resume
in
was
life
thrown out
it's
by a
connections.
hiring software because you used the wrong keywords. But let's say you defy the odds. You get through school, you land a job, and now it seems like there might actually be a future to work for. Until you realize the fact that the cost of living
hopefully your boss will still be there by then.
Getting around means you'll need a...
No cap, I think my boss is still going to be there by then. Because, like, he's, like, the head guy of, like, the security in the hospital that he has access to all the cameras. And mind you, this hospital, the amount of cameras, me, him, and, like, the team that I'm with, that we put in that hospital, I feel like bro, there's over 1,000 cameras in that hospital. Like, bro, he's the head guy. There's no way they're gonna get rid of him because he's in control of like the whole system, all the Pelcos, all the Avigilons, the whole interface. He's the guy. So I don't think he's gonna leave anytime soon.
Car, and with that, an average loan payment of between $530 and $750. But unfortunately, these loans come with steep interest rates, further pushing you to the edge of your financial limits. But cars aren't the only thing that have gotten insanely pricey, because other essentials like food have gotten just as bad. Let's look at something as basic as groceries. In the mid-70s, a pound of beef in grocery stores averaged about $1.89.
That looks so
By
good right
2000,
now, bro.
around
I would
$1.55,
down
but
that
today's
shit.
data shows it averaging $6.32 a pound, with some cuts going up to $8.28. Bread tells the same story. In the 80s, a loaf was about 50 cents. In 2000, just under $1, now around $1.84. But even things like dairy have gone up too. Milk used to be roughly $1.57 per gallon in the mid-70s to about $2.75 in 2000, and now it's over $4 a gallon. While prices rose, wages
Not gonna lie, chat. Yo, I haven't drank milk and eaten cereal in years. I remember when I was like a teenager and a kid, bro, I used to down bowls of cereal like my life depended on it. Captain Crunch, Snaps, Count Chocula, freaking Rice Krispies. Yo, I used to put the Rice Krispies and then grab a little bit of honey and put that glaze on top. Yo, I used to be a fat ass. I used to put honey on top of the Rice Krispies and then grab a spoon of sugar and I used to let that shit rain on it. I was like, and then I ate that bitch, bro. That milk was sweet as fuck. Woo! That sweet ass milk. Yeah, honey and sugar, bro. I was tweaking with the Rice Krispies, bro. But yeah, it's been years. I have not drank milk in so many years, bro.
failed to keep pace, especially for young workers who are now feeling the pain. Because rent, food, transportation, and debt payments are taking up a bigger slice of every single paycheck. That's why, even with a full-time job, 2/3 of Americans now say they live paycheck to paycheck. So what happens when the paycheck isn't enough? People start going into debt. By late 2025, the average American carried about $6,500 in credit card debt. But
What? The average American has like 6.5K in debt? Yo, I ain't gonna lie, bro. You said open an OnlyFans account? I ain't gonna lie. That's not me. The only debt I got right now, mind you, and I'm slowly paying off my PC I just bought. I probably got like 400 or 500. And I'm like, and I take my time paying it off because I don't got no APR. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in that period where it's kind of like, they're like, hey, you can slowly pay it off. You don't got no APR. But once they start telling me, yo, APR about to kick in, I'll be like, say less, I'll pay that whole shit off.
the average American carried about $6,500 in credit card debt. But the people falling more than 90 days behind on their payments? Well, from 2023 until 2025, delinquency rates went from less than 8% to above 12%,
Damn.
with young borrowers showing up in those numbers more than you would expect. So what do you think businesses do when they see people already struggling? Do they try and help?
Hell
or
no.
do you think that they try and profit from
No,
it?
they profit.
Buy
They
now, pay
raise
later
interest.
apps like Klarna and Afterpay are filled with bright colors and super
Yes,
happy
bro.
fun.
You don't know how many times back in the day I used to see Klarna and Afterpay pop up so frequently, and in my head I'm like, why the fuck am I gonna do a 4 payment? Like sometimes like Afterpay used to pop up for like the simplest transactions. It'd be like, yo, man, you want to get yourself I don't know, like you got like some essentials and shit. They'd be like, use Afterpay. I'm like, no, bro, I'm gonna pay that shit off now.
Marketing about breaking single payments into smaller ones to
Yeah.
make things easier. But in reality, these services are training wheels for racking up debt. In
Yeah.
2024, roughly 44% of Gen Z reported using Buy Now, Pay Later. And by 2025, more than half of Gen Z use it more than traditional credit cards.
You said they just dropped 100 line too?
you capping.
But the scariest part is that it's not just being used for shopping. About a quarter of all buy now pay later users across all ages are now financing food, while a shocking 41% of them made at least one late payment in the last year. And you're probably thinking, how is buy now pay later bad when you could break up one big payment into smaller ones? Surely that's good, right? Well, the problem is that some
You
buy
said
now
Klarna
pay
helps
later
with my medicine. I pay about $145 a month. That's not bad. And as long as you're on top of it, you know, like you don't wait on it and stall it, and you actually like, you know, do your payments on time, then you should be fine. But I feel like the issue with people is like they just like forget about it, and they're just like and then it kind of like puts them in this state of just like I'll do it tomorrow. Like I feel like it just boosts what's that word, procrastination, where you're just like I'll do it another day. I'll do it another day. I ain't gonna pay it off today. And then before you know it, you're like, oh shit. Wait a goddamn minute. Hold on. What the hell is this? No way. 100 line 2? Key Vision. No way 100 line was that successful that they're having a part 2? Man, that game is like 100 hours, bro. That's a 100-hour-long game.
Loans may carry rates as high as 37%, while credit cards have an average interest rate of around 25%, which means things are going to be way more damaging for all the people who can't make payments. Meanwhile, older generations keep telling us to just budget better, to live below our means, and to spend less, which, to be fair, there is some truth to, until you realize that no matter how much we hear this, it doesn't change the fact that housing has become the most unaffordable it has ever been.
I mean, that's true, but then here's the thing. That thing you said before where it's like budget better, look, chat, I personally know people that they just are terrible with budgeting. Anytime they get a paycheck, they buy stupid shit. And I'm like, bro, but then every day I will see them then post on their Instagram stories being like, oh, my bank account is low. But then the next day, I see them posting stupid ass pictures of like, look what I bought. And I'm like, why did you buy that? I'm like, you literally just said you're broke and then you bought some shit. Oh my God, bro. It's like, and some of these people, they live with like their parents. That's another thing. Like some of these people aren't even like paying rent per se or like living independently. They're living with family. So in my head, I'm like, yo, that's why I will never knock you if you live with your parents still. If you live with your parents, if anything, that is a blessing. Use those moments to save as much money as you can and obviously help mom and pop out whenever you do have the chance. But that's a luxury sometimes living with your parents because you could just save, make that money, save that money. Obviously invest a little bit with your parents and be like, yo, mom, I got some groceries for the house. Do what you got to do. But bruh, some people just be, I don't know, bro. They just be spending.
This house was sold brand new for $24,000, but now it's worth about $2.4 million.
This
To make
retro when he
matters
buys a
worse,
Nikkei skin.
America's average home price to income ratio now hit an all-time high of 5.8. And in the same amount of time, the median price of homes jumped by roughly 407%. And the house that I just showed you that went from $24,000 to $2.4 million, well, it increased in price by 9,700%, which is insane to think about. But things still get worse. In 1960, the average age of first-time homebuyer was 23, but now it is currently the oldest it's ever been at 40.
First time U.S. home buyer age since 1960. No way, bro. In the 1960s, there were 23-year-olds buying houses, and mind you, it was probably like them working like with a high school diploma, and they managed to cop a house. Damn, 1980 was 30. The 90s was like 32, 34. Bro, now in 2020, look at that fucking dip. Not dip, but the skyrocket here is insane, bro. 2020 onward, you need to be 36, 38, 40. Oh,
years
man.
old. And guess what? To try and solve this issue, the U.S. government
You saw how much you
floated the
saved?
brilliant
Saved? I ain't gonna lie, bro. You gotta save a few tens of thousands. And then also, too, I'm not gonna lie. I think I let chat know already like a bunch of times. Like, where I'm living at, shout out to mom and pops. Shout out to mom and pops, because this mom and pops. So I'm kind of like in a situation where it's kind of like, I'm kind of blessed. That's why, like me, if anything, I be telling my mom and dad, like I be giving them the most praise. I'd be like, yo, mom, pop, I fucking love y'all to death. I'll take a bullet for y'all, type shit. That's why I just always do that shit. You said they're helping you with the bills. Not necessarily. It's kind of like I'm living at a location because my mom and pops, they basically own the location. And mind you, that was like because my mom and dad bust their fucking ass when they were younger. They were busting their ass grinding. And then now the situation that we're in today, that's why like me, anytime my mom and dad ask me for anything, I'm gonna do that shit. But obviously in scenarios like this too, you gotta like make sure you stay saving. That's why even now that I'm in the scenario that I'm in, I still save. I save. I don't really go out and buy a bunch of shit as much as I would like to. The last splurge purchase I made was the PC because I was like the other one I had it for 10 years. But yeah. Like, but I know a lot of people, they don't have like the luxury sometimes that I have. So it's definitely really hard. You know what I'm saying?
Idea of intergenerational debt, aka the 50-year mortgage. Imagine
50-year
buy now,
mortgage?
pay later, but for a house that you're never gonna be able to pay off. Just for fun, let's say you have a $600,000 principal at 6%. For a 30-year mortgage, you'd be paying about $3,600 a month and about $690.
Wait, 30-year mortgage at 6%? That's insane. Yo, oh my God. And I remember when motherfuckers was talking about like, bro, when I started learning a little bit about mortgages, and I remember at the time, like back in the day, we thought 4% was high. 6% is crazy. Monthly payments, 3.5K. And if it's like a 2-family house, you're gonna have to make sure that each person, because if people are renting in your house, you gotta make sure that they're at least covering a huge portion of the mortgage, or at least the mortgage itself. 1,500 each, that'd be about 3K. So I mean, realistically in New York, you could easily charge for like a 2-bedroom apartment about what? About 2K. 2K each, 4K. You make about 500, 400 profit. But then that doesn't include like, you know, heating, electricity, a bunch of like shit that you need to take into consideration. That's why when you rent down the top and bottom, you have the renters pay off the mortgage. Yes, 100%. And then like if you're smart enough too, if you do own a home, you could renovate the attic if the attic is big enough, and then you could also have that as like an extra space where you can charge them more, or you could renovate the basement. Yeah. Property taxes are a bitch too. Insurance, maintenance, bro. There's a lot of shit that goes into like owning a home too. Like even I don't even know that much shit. But it's kind of like, bro, we're in a scenario where it's like, fuck, bro. It's just so much shit that you gotta know it. It's hard, bro.
$1,000 in total interest. But if you went
Yo, monthly payments is 3.5K. Total interest is 6,900K. Total paid over 30 years. Damn, 1.2 mil.
for the 50-year mortgage, sure, you would save about $400 a month on your payments, but now you would need to pay a shocking $1.29 million on interest alone. To make matters worse, this will actually cause housing prices to increase in value, because lower monthly payments mean more.
Also, chat, I'm not gonna lie, in New York, the scariest fucking thing as a homeowner in New York is either having one, a squatter, or two, a motherfucker that just doesn't want to pay. Because that happens. That's like the scariest shit as like a homeowner. Imagine somebody renting out your second floor and then they're just like, you know what, bitch, I'm not gonna pay. And then the thing is, to get them evicted in New York, you gotta go through a whole process, bro. They be like, bro, it's gonna take you 2 years sometimes to get them to get them fucking evicted. That's the scariest shit ever, bro. And then it's like you can't do anything to them. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm grimy. I'm throwing a mustard bomb up in that bitch, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna mix a concoction of ammonia. I'm gassing their ass out. I don't give a fuck. Hell no, bro. Send me to jail, because get the fuck out of here. If I was like a homeowner and a motherfucker was like, yo, I'm not paying rent for 2 years, and now I gotta like destroy my pockets trying to pay off the more. Oh my god, hell nah, bro. Yo, that's the scariest thing. I've heard so much horror stories in New York of like people just being like, fuck you, I'm not gonna pay the rent, or they would just sneak into your house. squat there, and then like once they're there for a certain amount of time, you can't kick them out. Yo, the laws make no sense. It makes no sense.
More people can afford the property.
That's
Meanwhile,
scary,
sellers
bro.
will increase prices, developers will increase building costs, and banks will hand out more loans, meaning the vicious cycle continues. So let's assume the situation where you can't
Send in
afford
the
a
rats.
mortgage and now you'll need to rent. Well, 3 out of 5 Gen Z renters are considered rent burdened, and according to a survey, 79% of Gen Z adults say owning a house feels like a possibility that's financially out of reach.
Damn.
And now, some people aren't even willing to pay rent because they've realized the only way to actually save money and to truly try and get ahead is by living at home with their parents. Today, about 1 in 3 adults in the US are still living with their parents, and between 1960 and the 2020s, the amount of 18 to 24-year-olds living at home has increased from 35% all the way up to 56%.
56%. And that's why I'm saying, yo, I'm not even going to knock it. Sometimes you got to stay with mom and pops. But obviously, you know, like I don't know everybody's relationships with their parents. Sometimes people got bad relationships with their parents. If you got good relationships with their parents, obviously just, you know, I know sometimes it sucks because I ain't going to lie. Like I remember when I started hitting like my mid-20s, bro, I used to be fighting my mom OD. Like my mom used to be having me tight every day. Like she used to do dumb shit like it'd be like 2 a.m. I used to remember. Yo, Chai, I used to remember when I used to do the Persona 5 streams and I used to be streaming late. It'd be like 3, 4 in the morning. I'm busting out like 15-hour streams. Yo, my mom will walk in my room like at 5 a.m. talking about, and you're still up? I'm like, why are you still up? I'm like, yo, leave me alone. I'm like, no, but I can't lie, bro. I was a little bit loud, but it's like still, it's like, yo, go to sleep. Go to your room and sleep. Let me freaking stream and shit. Oh my God. But hey, look, at the end of the day, you still got to be happy that at least you're with your parents, you know? You're not with like some crazy ass roommates, like people you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Be happy that you still living with your family, because imagine if you had like a roommate like Asmund Gold or some shit. Like you waking up and you look in bro's room and all you see is a fucking mountain of garbage and roaches. Hell no, bro. I'd rather live with mom and pops any day, bro. I live with mom and pops any day. I'll even be like, yo, ma, you need me to do anything? Clean the house, get groceries? I got you. I'll pitch in. You say he dirty as fuck, yo.
But in my opinion, this isn't even the worst part, because the thing that I take the biggest issue with is the fact that now, due to all the greed and financial irresponsibility, millions of people my age are struggling to start a family. In the 1960s,
Yes, and that's what I'm saying too. That's another thing. I remember a lot of people was like, yo, no, but then what I don't like about society, especially too, is then there's this thing, I feel like with the government where they're like, if you have a lot of kids, then you can get a lot of money back when you're doing your taxes because you have a lot of dependents. But then I'm the type of person where I'm like, no, I don't want to spawn 3, 4, 5 children and know that I don't have the financial means to support them. And like, you know what I'm saying? Because having kids is fucking money, bro. I don't care what anybody says, bro. Having kids is bread, bro. Enfamil is fucking expensive. Diapers is expensive. And then you got to make sure that the baby don't die, bro. If the baby dies, you go to jail, my brother. It's like you got to make sure the baby stays alive. You taking care of it. You taking them to their checkups. It's a lot of fucking maintenance. It's not like taking care of a dog, bro. It's not like taking care of a dog or a cat. If something happened to your dog and cat, you know what I'm saying? If something happened to your dog and cat, if you stay quiet, hey, if something happens to your human baby, you going to jail. So it's like, bro, you said diapers alone is a fortune, bro, and then baby clothes. Ah, man. And then it's like, I remember like when people be like, yo, aren't you supposed to be starting a family and shit? I'm like, bro, you know how expensive that shit is to start a family? And then the thing is too, is that like in society back in the day, it used to be like if we're getting traditional here, right? We're going to get traditional here. Back in the day, it used to be like the husband goes out and work, the wife stays home with the children and shit like that. You used to make enough money to make that shit work. You can't do that shit anymore, bro. The wife now has to work with the husband. And then you got to leave the baby with who knows, your mom. You know what I'm saying, bro? It's a lot of fucking work, bro.
Average age of first marriage was 22 for men and 20 for women. By 1990, it had crept into the mid-20s. In 2010, it was around 28 for men and 26 for women, but as of 2024, it is now roughly 30 for men and 28 for women. The oldest it has ever been, also cutting fertility rates nearly in half.
Yup.
And now, some adults are even choosing to be unpartnered altogether, because 40% of 25 to 54-year-olds are
That's me. I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't even gonna lie. That's me. Yo, I'm single like a Pringle. And to be honest, look, I'm chilling. Don't get me wrong, though. There be some days where I'll be like, damn, bro, I wish I had a shorty right here where I can hit the E. But then at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, sometimes that could be a financial burden. And sometimes, I ain't gonna lie, you don't want the horny to take over you and then you have an unplanned pregnancy. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the last thing you want to hear as a dude. I'm going to keep it a stack. The last thing you want to hear as a dude, especially in this today, in this society, is you cracking some cheeks. You hitting the... Then you hear next month,
I miss my period.
you miss what?
I miss my period.
Hell no, bro. You hear shit like that, you're like, oh my God, bro, my bank account is cooked. I'm fucking fried, bro. Hell nah. That's why a lot of the time now, bro, it's like, sometimes it's not even worth it, bro. I'll be like, man, where the owner hoe at? Bro, where that shit at, man? Fuck all this shit, dude. Like,
single versus 29% back in 1990. And truly, the saddest thing of all is that these statistics are primarily due to financial reasons.
Yeah,
and now
everything
1 in 4 millennials and
everything is financial, bro. That's why I said, look, no kizzy. No kizzy. I've been saying this shit forever. If I had a shit ton of money, I would definitely have multiple kids. Like, if I had a shit ton of money and then I found somebody where I'm like, yo, I actually fuck with you. I like your energy. You know what? You bring a light out of me. I would be like, yo, 5 kids. I would want to have like 5 kids, bro. And I want to see all the little Jimmys running around on some like, on some Promised Neverland shit. On some running in the fucking field. Hell yeah, man. Shit.
Zers say they aren't gonna have kids due to their finances. Boomers
1
grew
in
up in a
4th,
world
yup, because kids cost money.
where marriage and kids in your early 20s wasn't just normal but expected, with the economics to support it. Today we're living in 500 square foot apartments, seeing things get more and more unobtainable, all while having a wage that is barely keeping up with inflation. And I think I could speak for a lot of people here. We don't just feel ignored, we feel lied to. Instead of things getting better, every headline feels like a new record. Higher rents, higher grocery prices,
Yup.
higher interest payments, higher everything except our sense that anyone in
Cap,
charge is
if a big booty Latina starts throwing it back on you like Meek Mill at the Diddy party, you will fold.
I ain't gonna lie, I might fold in and give a little grind, right? Like if a big booty Latina hit my shit, I'll be like, but I ain't gonna lie, bro. Hell no, bro. I'm gonna make sure I wrap that shit up because ain't no way, bro. I'm not trying to spawn nobody else.
actually listening. In 2020,
this
when
economy-
the economy had crashed, governments printed cash like never before.
You simply flooded the system with money.
Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We printed digitally.
That's bullshit. You see, they could just print money. They could just print money.
Stimulus checks, bailout, whatever it took to keep the system from collapsing, and sure, it saved the markets and a lot of retirements, but these actions also turbocharged the value of assets, pricing out the next generation. And today, governments are stuck with making a decision that will decide our future. If politicians choose to finally rip the band-aid off and let the bubble pop,
Nah. He danced like Aiden Ross. Fuck out of here.
they'll destroy the comfortable retirement
What?
they promised their older voters. But if they panic at every sign of pain like
Got that
they've
little
been doing,
goofy
they will pump
dance.
even more money into the system, inflating things further,
You said what's stopping me from printing money? Damn, bro, I need one of those machines that they got in the government.
making things infinitely worse for future generations. Only time will tell. Will they choose the people who have already made it and are going into retirement, or finally give the next generation a fair chance like they were
I feel like that's the only, because remember when I made that meme up where I said, yo, the new generation, yo, I feel bad for anybody being born now Because you see how AI is now, yo. When those little Jimmys start getting older, oh my god, bro, they are not ready. They are not fucking ready. They're about to be like, oh shit, oh shit. You said Money Heist plot, for getting Ray. You say you got like 3 emotes. You said Lil Jimmy's on stream. Shit, no time soon. No time soon.